going to get started here in just a moment. We are so honored to be joined by the one and only Kristian Ramos. Some of him talk about him being the guru of all Democratic messaging, him having maybe all the answers to all your electoral problems, and the prince of public policy. And Kristian, I wrote none of that down. I just pulled all of it out of my ass.
I love it. I mean, if it is what you say, I love it. So
I'm going to get bumper stickers that say the prince of public policy.
that's not really
Not a
what I
good thing?
do, but
Oh, it's
I
not.
think of myself more of a messaging person and, a strategist in that
Was that
regard.
like a spin master, a Spingali?
I don't think we're allowed to say that anymore, but
Oh,
I do
okay.
like to a good spin for sure.
Well, we're excited to have you. We've been trying to get you on the show from the beginning, but I know that you have been backed up and you've been putting us off, traveling the world, doing all the things that you do in the south of France. But we are so happy that you're back and that you're joining us to talk about dim messaging, how we solved the let me recap for everybody listening. How we solved the shutdown, how we solve immigration, how we solve dim on dim crime, and maybe how we could get back to loving each other. Did I hit all the topics?
You got it. That was impressive. You're very on message, Chuck. I respect it. Thank you for that. Thank you.
As a messaging guru myself, and I'm not reckon I know how to spell the guru or the roo, but I have talked a lot of shit. And so the first thing I want to talk about is this shutdown. I think today is day 29. Is it day 30?
30, I think. Yesterday was 29. Today must be 30, yeah.
And it's almost, I think I heard on my morning read in, that's what we do here in the press. We read in the morning. Next week, by Wednesday, it may become the longest shutdown in American history, which is a big deal. And I think that's what the Democrats are waiting to be able to like put a feather in their hat and say, well, not only did we shut the government down to fight back against Donald Trump, but we also shut it down for the longest period of time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is what I don't understand. What do the Republicans actually stand for in the shutdown? What are they fighting for? I do not know. I know that on the Democratic side, it's very clear, right? We're trying to protect people's health care. We're trying to protect people's ability to go to the doctor and not pay, half their mortgage when groceries are super expensive and when, cost of living is exploding. And so I don't know what the Republicans are fighting for in this. And so I read all the stuff. I read everything here, and you tell me, Chuck, like what is their bargaining position? What are they trying to do, right? The military veterans, some of them are getting paid, some of them are not getting paid. I think the only people that are getting paid are ICE agents and Border Patrol, but everybody else is not. So I don't know, Chuck. You tell me, what is the Republican like? Why are they shutting this thing down for as long?
I'm the boss over here. I asked the damn questions. You just stay in your seat over there bragging about all the shit you've been reading over there. Like, I don't read. If it ain't on a podcast or on an auto book, I have never heard of it. Look, I say this on TV all the time. I'm on TV all the time. Anyway, I didn't ever go to college. Anyway, I have heard about this shutdown, and I think the thing is that there's no pressure for nobody. Kristian, me and you've been through these shutdowns. There's normally people on the steps of the Capitol bickering at each other, talking about what's being done or not done. And there's nobody here. Nobody's talking about it. And the American people really don't give a shit if a bunch of federal workers don't have a job this week. Let me be clear. Now, where you get the American people start chiming in is when you see some folks who are going to miss some food assistance, which is very important. Folks stop getting Social Security checks, or God forbid, planes start falling out of the air because they're crashing into each other because we ain't got enough air traffic controllers. Then shit hits the fan and something happens immediately. But up until then, there's no real pressure. And Republicans, to actually answer your question, they think that they have passed a CR to keep the government open, and that they think it's good for them to point at the Democrats and say, those cowardly sons of bitches over there are the ones shutting this thing down. That's why you don't have food stamp money or none of this other. And that's why they're not worried about bargaining. And they could give two shits about the ACA. Kristian?
What's remarkable to me here, just to underline something you're saying, that there's nobody here. House Republicans not even bothering to show up for fucking work right now. And I think it's remarkable. They've been gone for like 40 days, I want to say, because they were gone before the shutdown started, and now they're still gone. And what I find particularly remarkable about this is Johnson does not want to bring them back because he can't control them. Because part of the moderate wing of his party in that House caucus, they're going to want to reopen the government. And then the other part of it, the Freedom Caucus folks, they're going to want to cut even more stuff out to reopen the government, right? They are very fine with letting millions of people lose their health care. They already destroyed, gutted Medicare in the big ugly bill. And Johnson cannot even bring his members back because half of them will want to try to reopen the government, the moderates who are in these frontline districts. The other half is going to want even more toxic, deeply unpopular stuff in return for reopening the government. So, it's sad. It's scary. I really don't know what to make of it. I've never seen anything like it.
Let's put the pedophile angle into this as well and say that he also did a vote and then got them all out of town because there's this discharge position going around. And for all of you rednecks listening, what a discharge position is, if you get enough people in Congress, Democrat or Republican, to get to a majority, that's 218, you can bring anything directly to the floor of the House without going through committee. Hey, Kristian, I never went to college. But anyway, they teach you this in the Jailhouse Rock thing. And so when you do that piece, Johnson did not want to bring up the pedophile bill around the guy. And so while all this is happening, our good sister Adelita Grijalva, my Spanish, Adelita Grijalva, got won her congressional seat where her daddy was. And she's the 218th signer of this petition. So if they come back in, they won't swear in. Let's start there. She has not been sworn into office because Mike Johnson does not want her to be the 218th signature, and she would be to see actually the Epstein files and to ask for them to be released. That's what the bill is. So he's now saying, well, first he was saying, we could swear in at any time. Then he's saying, well, we want to do it under regular order. Then he said, well, as soon as we go back into session, we'll swear in. Right now, as it terms, she's been the longest member of Congress who had been elected, who's been not sworn into office.
Well, okay, all that's true, and I want to give props to our senator from Arizona, Ruben Gallego, who is a good friend of yours, and for tirelessly bringing this up, for going into the Capitol and getting in
Little Mike Johnson's face.
Mike Johnson's face. I mean, it was incredible.
When are we going to start calling him Little Mike Johnson? Because he's a small little man. He's got one of them comb-overs like you. Look like he just walked out of Bible school.
I think that you are raising really excellent points. I think Ruben Gallego is raising really excellent points. And the point here is, who are we? Again, this goes back to my basic question. What are these guys actually fighting for? What is their position? We don't want to open the government that we control, right? Trump is the president. They control the government. They control the House. They control the Senate. We don't want to come to the table. We don't want to offer anything. We are just going to fight this thing out indefinitely, partly to protect Trump from the Epstein files stuff, partly. Well, I couldn't tell you what the rest of it is. I couldn't tell you what the Senate bargaining position.
Don't you do communications for a living and you can't tell?
Well, that's what I think. They are remarkably disciplined, the Republicans. I will give them credit for this on just about everything else. But on this shutdown, I could not tell you what their position is on this stuff, right? Literally all Democrats are asking for is do not let the ACA subsidies, expire so that people aren't paying double, triple what they're paying for healthcare. And I think this is another one of these things, to your point earlier, Chuck. Everybody keeps saying, oh, well, nobody really cares about this right now because a lot of people don't realize the ACA subsidy in their state, which they probably are using, is not called the ACA. It's called health services or, it's some other name. And so there are all these people who, come November 1st are going to get a notice in the mail and the notice on their phone and their email, and it's going to say, your rates are about to triple. So I think that's when it's about to get interesting.
Do you think, as a communication expert and as a Spengali and as a guru and all of the things, a wizard, a
Wizard.
ninja,
That's ninja. Ninja is my favorite. Let's stick with
ninja.
that.
Yeah.
Ninja.
Okay. Ninja. So, as a message communication ninja, do you think that healthcare was the right issue of all the things? And I know there's a lot and we can multitask, but is that where you would have hung your hat?
I think what I would have said is this is about affordability. This is about people's lives. This is about everything costs way more, and your healthcare is about to be exponentially more so. And I think healthcare is the thing. Affordability is what I would start with in every single conversation. And I wouldn't even say affordability because that's a big word. That's a big, long word. I would say, you know, shit,
Cost of living.
no, shit is too expensive. Shit is too expensive. You want a nice house. You want a nice apartment. You want to go buy some, new shoes. You want to go hang out with your friends, right? Good luck. Because if you break your arm, if you fucking get a cold, you're paying through the roof for that. And what if you're taking a vacation, that's gone. If you're trying to buy, a nice new pair of Nikes, right? You're gonna get some Air Jordans, that's gone. Like, to me, that's the level of discourse that we need to be having here. And we need to be very clear. Donald Trump said he was gonna lower costs. He said he was gonna fix healthcare. He said it was also fucking easy. It's not fucking easy when you are raising costs on everything with tariffs, when you're shutting down the fucking government, when you are taking people's health care away. That's the opposite of easy. You are making things worse, much worse. And we have to be able to say that in plain English, in a way that people understand.
Then how do Republicans get away with making things more expensive, shutting down the government, and still being the party that's seen as strong and competent?
I think part of it is their base is very okay shutting down the government. Let's just be real. They hate the government. So they're like, cool, shut it down. Fire all the government employees. What do we care? They are not thinking about the reality of their day-to-day lives so much as they are thinking about the media narratives that they've been sold on Fox and everywhere else. They believe that the government is the root of all their problems. So when you say, well, fuck, let's destroy the government, they're like, great, yeah, destroy it. Again, I think people are unaware. They're like, I'm not on SNAP. I'm not on the ACA. Well, it's not called SNAP in their state. It's called something else. It's called the ACA is called something else. And so these folks are about to have a rude awakening when they realize, oh shit, I do use a lot of this stuff. It's red states that use all of this stuff. So yeah.
I thought that it was just black people in Cadillacs that use this stuff.
No, and again, that's where I feel like we've done a bad job. In my view, this is the critique. This is the thing we could do better. I think we have to name the names of these actual programs in these states, like Texas, like Arizona, like Nevada, and we should stop saying you're about to lose the ACA subsidies or healthcare or whatever, and be very specific because people hear this stuff and they're like, "Oh, well, this is not me. What do I care?" That's the other guy. That's the guy that's on the government dole who's about to lose benefits. Well, no, that's you.
Let's loop this into our favorite topic, which is immigration. I happen to have a few immigrants that work for me. They have status. They work for me. They've worked for me for years. And so I help and know what they make for a living because I set their wages. I see their Social Security payments. I see their Medicaid payments. And the thing that astonishes me is that because we are a highly successful global consulting firm, these people make so much money that they max out on their Social Security every year, Kristian. They pay the maximum amount into their Social Security before the end of the year because you can only maximize that to up to $11,000, just short of 12,000. But these people, unless something changes in the law, are never going to be eligible to actually receive Social Security. So they're maxing out, paying into Social Security, but they're not getting. And I thought, from what I'm hearing, immigrants were the problem, and it seems like immigrants may be bailing us out.
Well, let's take a step back here, and I'm going to do something very meta, and I'm going to say, you know what? This is really about affordability. This is about your cost of living. This is about people benefiting from immigrants in this country. And I'll take it a step further. Republicans, MAGA, conservatives, for the last 20 years have been saying, oh, the immigrants, they're stealing your jobs. They're coming in and they're lowering cost, they're lowering cost of living, or they're raising cost of living, and they're lowering your ability to make a decent living. So that's why we got to do mass deportations. That's why we got to do all this stuff, because it's hurting you. Guess what, folks? Guess what? They are fucking doing that. They are doing mass deportations. They are ripping families apart. They are detaining American citizens. They have legalized racial profiling. And guess what else is happening? Cost of living is going up.
What?
The cost of your groceries is going up. All of these things that they blamed on immigrants, they are doing. And why are they doing it?
Tell
I'll
us.
tell you why. They are doing it to take all of the resources that would be going to working Americans, and they're giving them to billionaires in form of tax cuts. They're saying, you know what? I know that you would like to have affordable health care, but we got to pay for this tax cut for a billionaire. You know what? I know that you would like affordable groceries. I don't have money to help you with that. I do have money because Elon Musk needs, I guess, another jet, because Zuckerberg needs to do whatever Zuckerberg does. And that's where that money's going. And so it is not immigrants who are actually helping lower the cost of living for folks. It is the Republicans' desire to do anything to divide us, to give billionaires, their buddies who give all the money to their campaigns, tax cuts and subsidize their, lavish existence.
But what about this, Kristian? Tell me, I want to talk about when they message, when your pushback is right, but then they say, sure, we want folks to pay less taxes because they'll pay your bills. They're going to share that money with you. And we're going to take the taxes off of tips and off of your overtime to prove that we're with the workers, we're with the bosses, we're with everybody.
Has anybody benefited from anything? What did let's start with the premise of this conversation. Everything from your energy bill to your groceries to your cost of going to school is increasing. So you've given all of this money to the mega rich. Has any of that trickled down to you?
I
No.
like that response.
No, it hasn't. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Just go look at your fucking bank account. Go look at your tax return. Go look at any of this stuff. It is going in the opposite direction, not in the way that we want it.
I want your reaction to this. This makes Democrats' heads blow up when I say that the Republicans are going to run an ad in the midterm elections that's going to say promises made, promises kept. We've shut down the border, and there's no more illegal immigrants coming in the border. The border is now secure. We have taken the National Guard and put it into these cities, and we've cleaned up these shithole cities, and now things are getting better in these shithole cities, and we've taken and given you a rebate on your taxes for your overtime and taxes on your tips. Promises made, promises kept, while Democrats just shut down the government and don't give a shit about you.
I'm going to say something that's going to make Democrats even more uncomfortable. And it's the truth. Barack Obama deported more immigrants than Donald Trump has. I mean, he did. He has.
I think that Janet McGee called him the deporter in chief.
Yes, yes. We Democrats are way better at immigration enforcement. They're period. Like, I don't know what. Look, he's better at doing spectacle. He's better at scaring the shit out of people. I will grant them that. But he's not solving this problem. He's making it worse. And I'll say something else that, like, maybe some Democrats will probably not agree with. Immigration reform is really popular. Immigration reform is really popular. The more Trump does the deportation stuff, the more popular immigration reform becomes, because people at the end of the day, what you just described with your staff, that you have folks there that are were formerly undocumented and have, some sort of status, that's America. A lot of people employ people with that are here legally through, some sort of status or another, that were formerly undocumented. And those are their friends, those are their neighbors, those are the people that they care about and that they love. They don't want to see those people deported. Fucking Joe Rogan doesn't want to see those people deported. Any person with a heart and a soul, and good Christians out there all over the place, they know that they are their brother's keepers, right? That they need to welcome the stranger as they would welcome.
Let me stop you. I want to ask your opinion about this, and I'm on this same topic, but you kind of was scratching at an itch. If what you're saying is true, and it's true, I love the Joe Rogan piece of that, like even him and others, then if you're advising a congressional candidate running in New Mexico or Arizona 1 or 6, do you tell them to lean into this issue and talk about it when they are, they're going to be labeled as somebody who's for open borders and more immigration?
Well, so this is okay. This is actually very important, and I think
That's why I asked.
No, this is why you need to. I think you got to lean in and you got to say, okay, you know what? Again, Democrats are the ones, under Barack Obama, we know how to do the southern border. We know how to keep that thing safe. We know how to stop people from entering and leaving the country without coming in, without documentation. But the real answer is you need laws. You need to enforce those laws. Donald Trump is not enforcing laws right now. He is detaining American citizens. He's making our country less safe. He's making he's legalized racial profiling. And then you have to be able to say, but we also need to find a pathway to citizenship for people who have been here, who are willing to contribute, who are willing to pay taxes, and to contribute to our country, and who are American in every way but their name. And that's very popular, Chuck. That's very popular everywhere. Everywhere. Red states, blue states, independents, conservatives, they are okay with people who were brought here by their parents, who came here fleeing war-torn countries, who are willing to get in the back of the line, to pay taxes, to contribute, and to work. If you're willing to work for your American citizenship, it's a very popular concept.
Then why are Democrats so scared to talk about it? There we go. Come on, big boy. I'm gonna get you fired today.
No, I think what makes it, I think there is just a lot of confusion about where the American people are, and I think there's a lot of angst about this in the party, and this is actually, not to segue here, but this is where I think the dem on dem violence that you see every day is not helpful.
And does that mean Democrats dropping more research books on Chuck Rocha or other kind of violence?
This conservative, progressive civil war that has been going since the 2024 cycle ended. This person is responsible and this person is responsible. We need both. We need moderates. We need progressives. We need everybody to work together to fight Trump. And what I find fascinating about history and time, Bill Clinton was a change candidate. He was a change candidate. He was a young guy who was a change candidate who brought moderates and progressives, right, of some sort together. Barack Obama, another change candidate. Progressives and moderates were able to, find things that they liked in both in him. And when we are working at our best, it's both. There's the energy and the fight that's in the progressive movement, and I think the moderate governing principles, or whatever, however you want to put it, right? Those two things working in tandem is better for everybody. And I think our immigration, you know, morass right now is caught in that dynamic of like, oh, well, this is so liberal to be for immigrants now. I can't do that. So I that's how I view it, where it's like it's not even in my view based in like policy or fact, because immigration, regardless of where you put it in these ideological bubbles, is popular with voters. But it's only popular to the degree that you actually talk about it and you're having these conversations in a robust and real way.
I'm not sure what morass means, but I do know that there's going to be a lot of infighting in the party because we are rudderless and looking for a way. And what bothers me the most is that the media and other folks want to put us in the box of you're the liberal or you're the conservative or you're the moderate when things cut across a lot of these lines evenly. And you can ask a moderate voter, are they for jobs in America? Are they for raising the minimum wage? Are they for everybody having health care? And they'd be yes if you ask them that way. And I think that this is the piece that we miss. You've heard me complain about this, and you know how factual it is that we have a consulting class that's run lots of these campaigns for a long time that really haven't changed anything. And because things haven't changed, you get the same campaign over and over again, expecting a different fucking result.
I'll take it a step further. And this is also going to get me in trouble, but I think this is.
Yeah, here we go, baby.
I feel very strongly about it. Like most voters are non-ideological. Most voters don't care. Most voters, if I learned anything from 2024, it's that most voters are like, who is going to fucking help me? And who is going to sound like a human being and who actually cares about me? And I think if you're being even more honest, they hate Democrats and Republicans for different reasons, but probably are equally distrustful of both parties in different ways. You know, when you talk to folks and when you look at the focus groups and the data, Republicans are crazy. You know, they're racist, they're whatever. I don't trust them. But I think they're fighting for me. Democrats, I agree with them on the policies. I think they're idealistic. I think they're very good people. But they're pussies and they're not fighting for me. So I don't trust them. And so that is the issue. And so for me, if I'm looking at 2026 and I'm looking at 2028 and I'm looking at electoral politics, it's we have to sound like human beings. We have to be authentic. We have to be, you know, we have to be willing to sound like normal people.
Speaking of normal people, and I'm the normal one here. You're the one with the nice hair living in the chalets of South of France. I think I want to ask your opinion on, I've seen the rise of what we'd call the gruff male candidate, like that these consultants have come up with their solution to our problem with men and with working class blue collar people. And they were like, well, let's run somebody in a cowboy hat that's got a gray beard, who cusses a little bit, who never went to college, who was a Marine veteran. Now, everybody will think I'm talking about Graham Plattner, and he's just one. But there are 15 Graham Plattners running that may have not got the exposure Graham Plattner's got in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Nebraska. And the one thing that they all have in common is they have a bunch of well-intentioned white folks with master's degrees running all those campaigns behind these gruff candidates that talk like this. But I'm curious about where you think all this lands. And I'm not asking you to jump in on all the debate between Graham Plattner, the tattoos and shit. But I mean, as you've seen this rise yourself.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You're old enough to know this. I'm definitely old enough to know this. So I'm telling you this. There was a guy in Montana by the name of John Tester. I don't know if you remember. He was a pig farmer.
He had a hand like this.
Yeah, he had a hand like this because he lost a finger
in a combine.
Yeah.
The only Democratic consultant in D.C. that knows what a combine is and has driven one. But go ahead, please.
So he was really that guy who was an actual pig farmer and everything else. And I'm going to go even further back. Jimmy Carter,
peanut farmer from Georgia.
But people don't fucking remember when he became president, he had to sell his family's peanut farm because it was a conflict of interest and it was a business. Meanwhile, Trump is over here like, here's my son, take this billions of dollars from this Arab prince and take this, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is we had real people like that in our party. And did we run them out? Did they lose because of the way the map was? Hard to say, really, what happened. But this isn't a new phenomena within the party, right? And I think this goes down to, I come back to my thing. This is authenticity, right? Like, I think John Tester was that guy. I think Sherrod Brown was that guy.
Then
My
why did
favorite.
he lose?
Well, he ran in a bad election. I think he's going to win again in this next go around. I think he's going to win. But I love Sherrod Brown. I
There's
wish
no
Sherrod Brown.
more of a champion of workers through his entire career than that guy.
No, and my favorite story about Sherrod Brown. I worked in the Senate for a number of years, and Sherrod Brown, whenever he talks, he sounds like he's like a smoker, like a chain smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't smoke. That's just how he sounds, right? It always sounds like he's, stayed up all night and whatever, but he's like the most normal, I don't say boring guy, but he's not that, he's not a hard living guy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But we need more of that. He's a normal guy,
But
who happens
I'm
to be
making the
the-
point too. Sherrod Brown is the example of a working class hero that has stood up for workers across the country, but he still lost. Kristian, no matter how much he was for workers, and folks in Ohio knew that, the number one ad run against him in Ohio said he is with Joe Biden lock, stock, and barrel, and he's for girls playing in boys' sports and transgender, whatever the thing may be.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought up Joe Biden. Look, Scranton Joe is also a guy who, in his prime, I'm not going to speak to his presidency, but in his prime, he spoke for workers. Who was a workers guy, and at a certain point, that was no longer fashionable within the party. That's what I'm saying.
But I would push back and say that when he was in the White House, he was one of the most pro-union, pro-progressive presidents in the history of America.
Well, I'm not talking about the candidates here. I'm talking about the party.
The party, sure.
The apparatus and the things around it. Those things were no longer like, selling points. Isn't that things that we leaned into as a party? We didn't talk about it in that way anymore.
It was amazing to watch the consolidation in the 2020 primary when I was running Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign of after Nevada, when we just whooped everybody's ass with Latinos and everybody else went into South Carolina and got our ass whooped. But it also shows that the Democratic Party was like, everybody has to coalesce around something safe, Joe Biden, something everybody likes, Joe Biden, because we have to keep our eye on the prize, which is beating Donald Trump. And we come so far from that in his reelection from where they had started with that. It's fascinating.
I'll give you one even more fascinating, and I think this is the truth. Let's say Bernie Sanders wins that primary.
And Chuck Rocha gets to be deputy. Anyway, go ahead.
No,
I'm definitely in jail if he wins the primary.
If he wins the primary, he either loses to Trump. Trump wins, you go 4 years, and then he's out, right? Then there's no more Donald Trump. There's no January 6th. There's no more of any of this other stuff. Or Bernie Sanders wins. And then, history takes a whole other turn. Would that have been the worst thing in the world for the Democratic Party if Bernie Sanders won the White House?
I don't think we know that.
Compared to what we're dealing with now.
Sure. No, there's no way.
It's
because
not.
I know Bernie Sanders. Like, he would have done things that would have helped people. He wouldn't have had a Bernie Sanders Bitcoin.
Well, and so I think the other side of it is AOC. Like, whenever anybody talks about, presidential contenders and whatever else, they never talk about her. And I think it's fascinating because out of everybody that's out there and mentioned, AOC is the only person other than J.B. Pritzker that out of the gate can self-fund. That she'll just be able, because she'll be able to get small dollars. She's going to, if she announces, she's going to have a ton of money. And you're in a primary of like 12, 15
There's one, let me answer your question for you, Kristian. There's one reason people drop out of presidential primaries, and there's only one reason. They run out of money.
Yes.
And if you never run out of money, you never have to get out. You just hope for your moment in time. And that's why Elizabeth Warren stayed in too long last time. Let me tell you a funny, since we're breaking news here and I'm trying to get you canceled. I I was thinking of like, we thought we were going to be the nominee. We had just left Nevada. We had more or less won Iowa, won New Hampshire, and I just whooped everybody's ass in Nevada. So we're measuring the curtains in the White House. And me and Weaver and a few of us are sitting around, maybe having a cocktail back when I still drank, and saying, well, what are we going to do? You going to be the chief of staff, Weaver? What job do I get to have? And he's like, you should be the Secretary of Labor. And I'm like, screw the Secretary of Labor. Like, that's a job where you really got to work. I don't want to work no more. We just won this election. And I said, here's what I want to do. I was like, you know how much I like national parks and hiking and fishing? I was like, Department of Interior, Chuck Rocha in a cowboy hat, going from park to park, looking at our great national wonders.
Would you be the Secretary of Interior, or would you work for the Secretary of Interior?
No, I would get Senate confirmed for the Secretary of the Interior.
Okay.
The first Latino to be the Secretary of Interior. Joe Biden had the first Native American.
No, Ken Salazar was the Secretary of Interior.
Was he? I thought he was something else.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
That's fine. I'll be the second. It didn't matter, but I was going to set up a satellite office in the Florida Keys down in the Everglades. We were going to call it the Southern White House, just like Truman did in Key West. How about that for some knowledge for somebody who never went to college? The Truman White House down in Key West. Anyway, now we're getting to the fun portion of the interview where I get to make Kristian feel uncomfortable about things that are not political, because we all know that he is a messaging ninja. That's going to be his new bumper sticker. The ninja.
Yes. Put it on a shirt.
Put it there. I can sell it. I'll promise you that. You see my shirt that says Waylon? I had this Yankee over at my house playing cards with us the other night. She knows who she is, and I'm not going to name it. She said it. She looked dead at my shirt and said, "What is Waylon?" I was like Mulan? This is not a Waylon. I was like, this is Waylon Jennings, a country music icon in Texas. It ain't a Waylon.
You know what's funny? I like Shooter Jennings more. The Sun.
Ooh.
The Sun has a really good. His debut album is really, really good.
I think we call it debut. Whatever the hell you just said is not debut.
What did I? It's his first album is really good. And if you haven't checked it out, it's definitely worth hearing.
Y'all don't know, but Kristian's from El Paso. He grew up in Arizona. I know all of his stuff because I've interviewed him so many times, because he is a media mogul like Baby Billy as well. So
Chuck, hold on. Chuck, you are Baby Billy. There's only one Baby Billy. It is you. The 100%. 100%.
Look, there's a lot of, if you haven't watched The Righteous Gemstones, about this Southern Baptist group of family that makes a lot of money in the church, they have a crazy uncle named Baby Billy who cusses and is really inappropriate. And if I had a nickel for every time somebody come up to me and said, Chuck Rocha, you're Baby Billy, I'd be like a rich, rich man. But speaking of Baby Billy and what we like to watch and hear, I want to know your spin, first of all, on Bad Rabbit doing the Super Bowl commercial in the halftime show.
You mean Bad Bunny?
Oh, yeah, the bunny.
Yeah. I
heard that folks don't like it. He's going to speak Spanish.
Okay, we want to break news here or not?
Yeah, we're breaking news and getting you canceled.
I wrote an op-ed, I want to say a year ago, and it was basically saying what is fascinating to me about Bad Bunny is we've never had a more contentious and xenophobic moment in American history with the Republican Party that we do now, right? With MAGA, which is like just virulently anti-Latino, all of this stuff. At the same time, Bad Bunny, Peso Pluma, all of these Spanish language artists are huge in the United States, are huge. I remember I was looking at an Apple, one of those Apple Music lists of like the biggest singles in the country. And it was like Morgan Wallen, Bad Bunny, Peso Pluma, Post Malone, it was like Taylor Swift, but it was like all of these like country artists, more or less, white, Southern people. And then
Southern people, I get you, Southern people.
Yes. And so Bad Bunny and Peso Pluma. And I just thought it was remarkable that this has happened. And I think the Super Bowl is so I wrote that op-ed. Nobody would take it. Nobody wanted to hear. Nobody wanted to hear about this.
Put my name on it.
It was too early. I have fantasies about rewriting it, rejiggering it, and then sending it back out into the world and hopefully getting it published somewhere. But the Super Bowl is is the climax of this. I feel like this is the thing where even when J-Lo and Shakira did it, I think it was all in English. There was, you know what I mean? There was no Spanish.
I wasn't watching it. I wasn't listening. I was just watching it.
Chuck had it on mute.
I
Chuck was
did.
watching it on mute. Um, anyway, the reaction is not surprising, but it's also just, again, it's sort of ridiculous in that it is very popular stuff. Like, I would be willing to bet good money that whatever Kid Rock says publicly, privately, he fucks with Bad Bunny. He listens to that music, you know what
Oh,
I'm
for
saying?
sure he listens
All
to
of
it.
these guys, all of these
Sure.
guys who are like saying horrible things about, I mean, like, it's just, it's culture, it's the currency, it's what, you know, the
People are
young
paid to
people.
get clicks. There's folks all over the internet that are paid to pull us apart. We got to be looking at what brings us together, Kristian. And speaking of bringing us together, I want you to tell folks out there where they can find you on the social medias.
Hold on, before we get to this portion of it, because we're wrapping up, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you talk way too much.
No,
Keep
no, no,
going.
no. Hold on, though. We need to clear the air. This is very important. Chuck and I spoke on a panel recently, like a month ago.
Is this when you was eating the eggs?
Hold on, I want to tell my side of the story since you
You're
slandered me.
disgusting.
You fucking slandered me the last time you with another guest. So I wanna air this out for all to hear. Chuck also bullies me about my weight. He says
I
I'm
do
fat.
bully you about your weight.
He always says that I'm like a weak string being. So like I've been intermittent fasting, right? Where you don't eat from like 9 to noon.
Just like little girls do, but go ahead.
I think you do too, Chuck. So I don't even know. Anyway, we show up to do this panel together. It was supposed to start at 11, but they pushed it to noon, which is when I'm supposed to eat. And I knew I wasn't going to make it. So I'm sitting in the audience and I had up my my meal, which was like 4
He
hard-boiled
pulled a
eggs.
plastic sack out of his suit jacket, y'all, in the middle of an auditorium. And he opened it up and he had boiled eggs in it and it smelled like shit.
So I ate them and he took pictures
I
and he
did.
sent them
That's
to
my
like all
job.
of my friends.
And I put it on the internet.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's on the internet. Well, maybe it is. So I haven't seen it.
Oh, I sent it to all of our friends. I was like, look
You
at this
did.
motherfucker here. He's breaking out a plastic sack, not of drugs, not of candy, but of sliced salami and boiled eggs.
It was Canadian bacon, hard-boiled eggs, and mandarin oranges. And I would just like to make a public service announcement that it's good. It's all protein. It's all protein. So
And
you know
I'm
what?
down with it. Just don't bring that shit into a public gathering place.
No. People can hate, and they do all over the internet. That's what they're there for. Some of them do it to your face. So thank you, Chuck. But I just want to say, get your protein. That's it. Don't let anybody
And
stop
all I'm
you.
going to say is don't get it in the public. Get it at your house. Don't do the shit at the house that you need to do in front of everybody else. And Kristian is right. Kristian's like my little brother. I pick on him relentlessly. And he is a little weak. Now, I've been working out every day for like 40 years. And those of you who know me on this podcast knows that's always because I work out every day to stay this fat. And I'm a big old boy. So for the rest of you boys out there, y'all should be hitting the gym too. There's too many of my friends that are mine and Kristian's ages, Kristian reaching 50, me almost looking at 60. There's time that you got to get healthy. And I was chasing girls and drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and doing all kind of stupid things that I wish I had done in my 20s, 30s, and 40s that I'm living through now. But I'm trying to live as long as I can. And I want all of y'all to live as long as you can. And if he keeps breaking out boiled eggs in public meetings, he ain't gonna live very long because I'm gonna put my foot in his ass. Anyway, take us out of here and tell us where folks can find you on social
You can
media.
find me at K Ramos 1841 on X and Blue Sky, and I want to start a Substack. I dream about it. I have all these ideas for articles. That is Off-Road is what it's going to be called. And
I saw that shit and I was like, that boy ain't never been off road. He stays on the road.
Here, actually, let me make my pitch for the Substack that I have not started yet. It's funny. This is actually a good story. Chuck, can I have like 5 minutes to tell this story?
Yeah, there's no time limit here. I'm just tired of talking to you. Go ahead.
No, yeah, this is actually a legitimately funny story. When I started that Substack, it was called The Argument, and actually, Adrian Carrasquillo, who is Chuck's like, if I'm his brother, then Carrasquillo's like his son. His little niñex, his little child.
Oh, he's gonna whoop your ass. Keep going.
Anyway, him and I had a joke, and it was El Argumento, right? Like it was the Latino argument from Matt Bai, the journalist. I think he wrote a book about it, about the Obama years. And I had thought about making my Substack El Argumento, but I was like, oh, this is kind of dumb. Nobody's going to get the joke. So then I just made it, I got the argument. And then like this year, I sat on it for like 5 years. Jerusalem Damasa reached out to me and she says, I want to buy the name of your Substack. Because I'm going to start a thing. She was a writer for The Atlantic, and
she's on TV with me now.
Yeah, she's a fucking genius.
She just started her own thing.
Yeah, she started her own thing, and so she says, I'll pay you for it. I said, great. And I asked for like
$1 billion.
No, I asked for like $150. I think because I thought that I would have a relationship with her as a journalist, and do whatever. And then she became like, when they launched it, I think it was like $4 million or something. What they said. I was like, why did I only ask for like $150? That was really stupid. But in truth, I think the argument is from like politics of like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And off-road for me is Democrats are off-road right now. We're in the wilderness. And I think I'm less interested in talking about like the food fights of the day and more talking about, the weird off-road stuff that's happening. And the way that I put it is culture is always upstream from politics. And I actually think the Democrats are like nowhere on where the American culture is right now. I think that culture is, for the first time in certainly my time doing politics, we are not where the cultural moment is. And so that's where off-road, if I ever start it, is going to be a sort of an examination of like America and politics through the prism of this different space that we find ourselves in. So that's my plug for a non-existent Substack that exists in my head. Chuck's like, shut the fuck up.
3 minutes I'll never get back. Kristian, thanks for being on the show today. We called you to be on because we had 4 other people that canceled, but appreciate you being here today. And I always want to thank all of you for listening to the Rocha Revolution. This is where the revolution starts, but the revolution will not be televised. But if it is, your boy with the cowboy hat will be right there. Thanks for joining us this week. Until next week, y'all be good.